say that one day, very soon, we'll be inducting this gentleman into our prestigious Hall of Fame. Tonight, however, he has the honors of inducting somebody very special in his life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jeff Gordon.
Thank you very much, Ralph. What an honor it is to be here. I get the privilege of inducting or bringing to the stage somebody I think is very deserving of this, and so I want to thank the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame for recognizing my stepfather, who I certainly would not be here without him. Ralph, I think you brought up something really important, though. He said we're all learning something new about motorsports or West Coast stock car racing, and there's no doubt about it. When Ken told the story earlier, Ken, I learned a few things, and I wish at 13 years old I had your phone number, buddy. Because if I had known what I was about to get myself into driving a 650 horsepower wing sprint car, I would have called you and said, hey, Ken, thank you. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, my stepfather made those rounds relentlessly, and it wasn't just on the West Coast. And he also happened to bring home a copy of Open Wheel magazine, which I find so ironic. We're here talking about the Stock Car Hall of Fame, which is where we ended up and where my passion lies now, but it didn't necessarily start there. Starting in quarter midgets and open wheel racing and going into sprint cars, the dream was and the desire was about open wheel racing. I find it so ironic that, this Open Wheel magazine comes across, I guess, the living room floor. We're at home one night, and he shows it to me. He says, hey, check this out. And there's an article, because I'm pretty sure that we weren't going to find any way of getting a 13-year-old to go drive a sprint car anywhere, right? Especially after all the calls, it didn't go anywhere. Thank you, Ken, by the way. You're looking after me. I appreciate that. And Carrie Jamie and many, many others that said no. But unfortunately, Open Wheel magazine showed an article on a young kid in Florida named Sport Allen, who was driving a sprint car at 15 years old. And so my stepfather came home and said, if he can do it at 15, you can do it at 13. And I thought, I'm safe. It's in Florida. We're good. We're in California. There's no way we're going to build a race car and drive all the way across the country and go drive a sprint car. But we did. We did. And thank God we did. I've had the pleasure recently of being involved in a book that my stepdad and myself and many others have been a part of for the last year and a half. And one of the joy, for me, it's been a blur. I mean, it all started quarter midgets, 5.5 years old. For John, it started long before then. He was involved in hardtop racing with friends, one of them being here tonight, Daryl Dudley, building a race car for him at Vallejo Speedway, West Capitol, a lot of different places around this part of the country where my stepfather, who was a machinist, who was I think everybody characterizes him many different ways. He's obviously relentless and doesn't give up and doesn't take no for an answer. He has a lot of different talents. Being a machinist, one of them. He's very creative. He knows how to build things that nobody else maybe wants to take on. You tell him no, he'll tell you how. He just has many great talents. But I think, going through this experience of the book and reliving a lot of these things that have been a blur for me for many, many years, it's been a real treat. And one of the stories that came up recently was the time we built this sprint car in Vallejo at my parents' business. They had a machine shop there in Vallejo, and so we built this sprint car. And at this time I was like, okay, sure, how tough could it be to go from a quarter midget with 6 horsepower to a 650 horsepower sprint car? Can't be that tough. And we drove up to Dixon, and we found this old country road. By the way, there were deep ditches on each side. It was about a 10-foot wide road. Didn't think about it much at the time because my stepfather had tremendous confidence that this was all going to go as planned. And so this was the first time that I was going to get the opportunity to start this car. And any of you in the room that's ever started a sprint car knows it's a direct drive. They have about 10 inches of stagger. They don't go in a straight line very well. You get a push truck behind it, you push it off. So we're on this gravel road, ditch down each side, fence, barbed wire. It was pretty ugly. And then there's okay, well, you got to turn the fuel on, wait for the oil pressure to come up. Hold this thing in gear, one hand steering, and then flip a switch when the oil pressure comes up, and it's all going to be great. And somehow it actually did go okay. But I must say, when that thing fired and the engine lit and it jumped about 6 inches off the ground, and I was just trying to get it out of gear as fast as I possibly could to slow it down and stop it, I was thinking, oh my God. Now, I never touched the gas. Never touched the gas. I just took it out of gear and stopped it. And now the methanol fuel in this thing was burning my nose and my eyes so bad I couldn't sit in the car. And the next day, we loaded it in a trailer and decided to drive all the way to Florida. Are you starting to get the picture of my stepfather?
Yeah.
I hope you are, because without that, I wouldn't be here. So I'm extremely appreciative of all that he's done. I'm an emotional guy when it comes to my dad. I've had the privilege of telling and reliving some great moments. It's not just about me and my racing career. I mean, I could go on and on and on. We've been a team for a very long time. But the tables that are sitting here will tell you, because way beyond that. He's much more than that. I'm pretty sure that somewhere along the way he actually gave one of our toughest competitors in quarter midgets like our best engine and set of tires and maybe even a spare car. Because he's just that kind of person. He's gone far beyond helping me in my career. Anybody that wanted to get their kids into quarter midget racing or get them to be a sprint car driver, or, which is the ultimate for us, led us to stock car racing. We made a move from California. Nobody let us race here, Ken. We had to move. But it was to pursue, open wheel racing. But along the way, through a lot of connections and friends and some great opportunities, it led us down south to North Carolina to pursue stock car racing, which, I'll be honest, I didn't know a lot about. That's why I find this so ironic, because here we are inducting somebody that's so deserving, that has put his whole life into racing. And maybe it didn't start with stock car racing, but I can tell you nobody's more passionate or excited about what stock car racing has brought to our lives, and what just motorsports has brought to our lives, than to me the one that's so deserving of this honor, and a 2016 Hall of Fame, West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame inductee, and that's my dad, John Bickford. Johnny, come on up here, buddy.
surprise, ladies and gentlemen. I knew Jeff was coming, but I had no idea he was gonna come here. I thought Ken Clapp was gonna tell a good story, and I was gonna try to figure out how I could adjust the story and everything, so that I didn't look quite so bad, you know. A 13-year-old in a sprint car was a challenge, and but as you can see, I had trust and confidence, and it all proved to come out just perfectly. One piece I think that's in kind of ironic, and Jeff not really aware of that. Some of the folks in the room might be aware of that. Certainly Darrell Dudley and Ed Oregon and a number of other folks that we grew up racing together. Our first car that we ever built for Vallejo Speedway was 1966. And it was the first year they ran stock cars on a regular Saturday night at Vallejo Speedway. So actually my towing down the road right outside this nice hotel here started in 1966 as a stock car. And we moved on to modifieds and then on to sprint cars and so on. So it's ironic that we're all the way back here in the Stock Car Hall of Fame. I wanted to take a second. Great stories tonight. And I think that what everyone's done here by creating this Hall of Fame, and we get to hear these great stories, and many of them, I saw pictures of cars, and I recognized different pieces, and it's just something we need to do for history, is how do we document this? And Ken, Ralph said it best, you gotta do a book. I mean, you heard Jeff here a few seconds ago working on a book. The memories that come out from preparing those, it's like reliving a life, and you have more time to enjoy it, because when you're actually living it, you're in a truck and trailer and you're going down the road and you don't have time, you're not making notes, you're just thinking about the next race. We've heard from crew chiefs and drivers and everybody tonight, you just don't have time. But Ken, you were there watching so many of us and actually helping us. You need to do the book. Ralph's absolutely correct. So I've got a lot of family here. We heard some other people mention about how important family is. I'm very fortunate to have my mom here, and she's an 89-year-old cancer survivor, and she's here visiting, and I'm she's relentless, she's trustworthy, she's very competitive, and I think any of that I have inside me came from my mom, and I'm very grateful for that. My wife is here. Only a few weeks ago, and I think she should be made a saint, but only a few weeks ago we celebrated a 43rd wedding anniversary, and it's hard for me to believe. She actually knows how to drive a truck and trailer, and when Jeff slept and I had to sleep, she was driving. So we would do over 100 sprint cars, right at 100 sprint car races a year, and I couldn't do all the driving, and Jeff couldn't reach the pedals. So Mom had to do the driving. So anyhow, congratulations to all the inductees. It's an absolute honor for me to be up here. And to listen to the stories and to be associated with this great group. And I looked at the list of people, and it's so hard for me to believe that my name is on that list, but it's an absolute honor. And there's so many friends and people I saw and had the chance to shake hands with everybody tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ken. Thank you to everybody, and I so appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, I think you would have to agree with me now, based on everybody you've seen up here on the stage. We've got a great, deep pool of talent here on the West Coast, and it is so fantastic we have the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame to induct them into. Don't you agree? So, just before we finish here tonight, I just wanted to thank Christine Walker, who was